Kind of an icky day today. But we're here for a very specific reason today. And that is for the latest upgrade to the DR. It isn't one you can see offhand. And it's one that was needed for quite some time. So, if you notice the yellow spring, we finally upgraded to the Cogent Suspension. So today will be a test day. I got the front done. I think it's a 0.63 springs, which is actually a little bit stiff. I kind of fall in that area there where I'm too heavy for one and a little light for the other. So I kind of had my option of which way I wanted to go. But oh, I guess we're moving on to something else. So the front is a 0.63 springs, which is described as good for heavier riders or aggressive riders. And I went with I forgot what it was. It's 7 point something in the back and 8 point something. I went with the 8 point something in the back. And again, I called Pro Cycle, and this is what they recommended for me for my weight and my riding style. Now, for reference, I weigh currently about 220, fresh out of the shower without any gear. So you figure with gear, I'm not in full gear today, but you know, I do have a vest that's got some weight to it and whatnot. So I'm right around that 240 mark, give or take. So it was just kind of you know, which way did I want to go? So I went with the heavier springs just to help with the more aggressive riding. So we're gonna go ahead and cruise up and down some forest roads, take some quick trails, and see how the suspension works. Forgot where I was going, past my trail. Guess I can take that one. All right, Kavanaugh. Okay, so off the bat, I can tell you that this suspension takes a lot of the little stuff here and it just disappears. You can hardly feel any of it. I mean, you can feel it in the bars, but it isn't jarring. Jesus, this thing is big. Got so used to my WR, forgot how big this thing really is. going a little bit slower so I can really experience this suspension. But then again, I think it's best if you really attack this stuff. Now the problem we've had here recently is we've had a whole lot of rain. So as you can see, it is pretty wet and muddy. And let's take a moment. Now they recently logged this area too. This is the Kavanaugh Trail. I mean, it's a good bad thing. It's good because we added another good view, but it's bad because, you know, we like the trees, and riding amongst the trees is just one of the many things that really attracts me to this. But it is what it is. It's a renewable resource. It's managed quite nicely. So, you know, what are you going to do? We still need houses. We still need furniture. You know, all that stuff that you use wood for. So, but fortunately, we got lots of other trees. So, now they'll leave this area alone for, I don't know, 50, 60 years before they try to log it again, I guess. So, all right, back on to the suspension. Well, you know, I am riding a DR today. I have to turn on the heated grips a little bit. It's a bit chilly. I forgot how horrible my brakes are on this too. So dug out at the bottom here. Look at that. Definitely can't take that with any speed going down. Look at that. So I guess a few things to expect with this Cogent suspension. First and foremost, it takes these forest roads and totally smooths them out. I've hit some pretty big potholes. It was almost like they weren't even there. Something else to expect, which kind of took me by surprise, is with the stock springs, because obviously there's not a lot of adjustment there. And I should probably, ooh, slippery. Should probably clarify that because I got the heavier springs, one of the very first things I did is I adjusted the dampening down to its softest, and then figured I'd work my way up. So I'm currently still on the rear at the softest setting I could get for it. But back to my original, something to expect. Let me just get through this a second. So something that you can expect with this is when you first sit on the bike with this newer suspension, there's like next to no squat. So I did end up adjusting out the sag, which it came pretty close from ProCycle as is. You know, I just told them my weight and all that kind of stuff, and they kind of set everything up for me. So I think it took maybe a quarter turn or something, but nonetheless, there's next to no squat. So I was used to sitting on this, and the whole bike would just kind of squish right down. So the initial feel I get now, and it's not a tall bike, especially now that I have my WR, but when I first sat on this, it certainly felt really tall. Just because I was used to it just squishing down so much as soon as I sat on it. This one, it's like, and that's it. So you gain a lot of suspension travel. This is getting really bad through here. It's getting dug out pretty good there now. Ay, ay, ay. I know a lot of guys say, oh, that's what makes it challenging. Well, you know, there are some riders that can't do that. I can do it. Not happy about it most of the time, but it is what it is. And of course, going down is never as bad as when you're going up it. Shit. Oh. Okay. So that was a direct result of switching back and forth to different bikes, because my WR, if I hit that back brake there, I would have stopped almost immediately. And I hit it on this one, and there was nothing there. I'm like, wait, where'd my brake go? So, oops. All right, we're gonna pick this up in a minute. I think I know how I can describe it. With this upgrade suspension, what I ended up doing is I no longer have a dual sport bike. I have a very heavy dirt bike. This suspension is extremely responsive. It's smooth, but not jarring. That whole trail, I thought I was riding my WR for a minute there. I am very, very impressed. Of course, for $1,000, I guess you should be impressed, but my goodness. So I was standing here taking a break, and there's a couple other things I thought of things to expect. So, installation for the front forks. I didn't do a video on that. There's plenty of other videos out there, but it is pretty simple. You're essentially going to take the forks off, take the old springs out, dump the oil out, pour the new oil in, drop your DDC in there, put your spring in there, your spacer, washer, and cap it back up, put it back on, you're good to go. Something else I did is I replaced those these boots here with the Pro Cycle ones, because my other ones had a couple holes in them. And if you need to replace them, I'd highly recommend these things, because this is more of a rubber type material instead of that plasticky stuff that comes stock with it. So that's a pretty good replacement. It's got some, oh, I reused the clamps, that's what it was. We're gonna have some noise here in a minute. Yeah, it turned out to be a busy day up here. Wow, a lot of bikes. So, I can't say I'm surprised. It has been, the weather has been so bad for like 2 weeks. No one's been able to ride, and everyone's itching and jonesing, so got a lot of people up here. Alright, so back to the install. So the front, like I said, there's plenty of videos out there for that. I also did not do a video for the install of the back one. Again, there's a couple videos out there for that. I will say, from start to finish, time to install the front was approximately 2 hours. And that's, you know, I watched a couple videos, so I kind of had an idea of what to do. And I wasn't, you know, pressed for time or anything, so I just took my time. I cleaned some things up. And so 2 hours for the front. For the back end, there wasn't a lot of clear video. I mean, there was, but it wasn't real clear to me. So the rear took me 2.5 hours. And I ended up taking off the back tire, take off the links and all that kind of stuff. And turning the adjustment ring here was a trick. But like I said, I didn't need very much adjustment. So I ended up taking off the exhaust pipe again, because the stock shock had the big reservoir on the side, which I couldn't get it past the exhaust. Now I went with the Cogent Mojave. I didn't get the Mojave Pro. The Mojave Pro has got that reservoir on the side, but I figure, because I'm going to be using this more as an adventure bike than a trails bike, because I have the Yamaha now. So I figured I didn't need the Pro, and on the forest roads, this works perfectly. If that's what you're doing with the DR650 and you want to upgrade to the Cogent, and you ride 90% forest roads or unimproved roads, this is what you want to get. If you ride the DR like it's a dirt bike, this is what you want to get. Basically, if you own a DR and you don't want that squishy, squashy type bike, this is what you want. So now we'll go ahead and do a few more trails here and see if I have anything to add. I can actually hear it working. Oh, come on. Done a little other maintenance to the DR, and it's made a difference, so I have to adjust my riding. After my what was it called? Oh, my, shit, escaped me. What is it called? Monachi's Trail. After that ride, I had to replace my clutch. And of course, not only did I replace it, I also don't ride it very much, which I'm sure is going to change pretty quickly here. But so I've been toying with the clutch, trying to get it to feel right. And what I mean by that is I got used to a particular clutch engagement zone and that kind of thing, and then of course I got the WR, so the WR is a little bit different. So I've been kind of toying with it. So now it's pretty close to right off the bar. And it makes it nice when covering the clutch on the trails like this, because I also got the heavy duty clutch, so the clutch pull was a little bit harder. I took care of some of that just by lubing up the cable. Well, I got to be careful with this. It has certainly transformed the bike, and I really want to hit it hard, but because it transformed the bike so much, I gotta get used to it. So anyway, so I adjusted the clutch, I lubed it, so it feels a little bit different. Much easier to ride in the trails. What else did it do? The suspension, obviously. Oh, I put the new air filter, new air breather in there. And that air breather looks like a little K&N filter. So throttle response is a little bit crisper now. So we'll see. Alright, so I'm going to go up this way. We're going to take some of this forest road and see how she feels. Going on? Concrete. Oh, they're gonna be doing something back here. Oh, they're gonna make a good bridge. God bless them. Good. Okay, today's primary reason is this portion of the trail right here. Got these whoops coming up. Want to see how she does on them. Be a little troublesome with all this water. Oh, much better. Much better. Yeah, I'm liking this. Not liking these tires anymore. In comparison to the Trackmaster that I have on the Yamaha, these tires do not grip for crap. In case you're wondering, yes, it's the D606. But I think the next tire I'm going to go with on this is going to be the new Tusk D Sport tire. Oh shit. I love that low end. So I went and bought this new helmet. This is the Bell MX-9 Adventure, because I couldn't use the goggles. Goggles kept fogging up my glasses. So here's what happened when I just put the shield down. I put it down because it's starting to rain just a little bit. Alright, pressing on. See, in this rain, is why I decided to truck this bike up here today, because I didn't want to get caught in it on the way home like I did last time. I got saturated. Everything was wet, except for whatever was underneath my Climb jacket. Tell you what, Climb is no joke, man. I know that stuff is expensive, but it works. Kind of making our way back down and out. I've got the required data that I need. Got to feel what it's like. We got rain coming and going, so we'll make an early day of it. However, that said, it was a great day nonetheless. So I guess it's probably important to note that I do not work for Cogent. I do not work for ProCycle. I bought this stuff with my own money. Because I know I probably sound like I'm just gushing all over them. I mean, look, it's really good suspension. Look at this, they're gonna have to come clean this up. It's getting really dug out. Oh, that's a lot of mud there. But anyway, it's a really good suspension. I mean, as far as any accessories, ProCycle is a great place to go for it, because it's all in one location there. Everything you're looking for. So, that said, let me continue to gush about the suspension. Now, if I didn't have a dirt bike, I would have done the suspension long ago. Matter of fact, when I got the dirt bike, I was trying to decide, what am I going to do? Upgrade the suspension, get a dirt bike. And I got a dirt bike. But I got a bonus from work, so I said, you know what? I'm gonna treat myself. Not that I don't already, but I went with the suspension, with the wife's approval, of course. And you know, for as much difference that this makes, I am totally dumbfounded why Suzuki does not just use this suspension on their stock bikes. I mean, I get that they got to try to make it for all the masses, and quite honestly, if I never got the dirt bike and I didn't know any better, I'd still be saying, I don't need a suspension, because what I had worked fine. There's nothing wrong. Yes, it's soft, but I did get to the point where I was starting to ride beyond the limits of the bike. So I was riding more aggressively. I was hitting some of these jumps and whoops and stuff, and hitting the bottom of the bike. So I had to do something, because my skill level had surpassed the limits of the bike. So therefore I went with the suspension upgrade. And I have a feeling that's what most of us will end up doing, is just kind of wait until you ride past the limits. Now, granted, this is what, ride number 2 for me with the suspension. This summer will be a big telltale. I've got backcountry discovery route to do yet. We got plenty of other adventure type rides that we want to do, so we'll use it, and perhaps I'll revisit at the end of summer and talk about my long-term impressions with the Cogent. Though I'm sure if you were to send Brant a message and ask him about his long-term impressions, he'll be more than happy to describe them to you. So, but if you're on the fence, do I want the suspension? Do I not want the suspension? My recommendation, get the suspension. Call ProCycle, tell them how you ride, how much you weigh. They'll give you the recommendation. Go with what they recommend. You will not be disappointed. All right, so that said, peace out.